Good evening. It's Monday night, the 16th of November, and day 320 of my journey to business alignment. After so many days of traveling on this journey of mine, I have to say that the saying, I'm living the dream, certainly hits the nail on the head. It's the most perfect description of how I've been feeling every single day. So many things have happened over the past 320 days and are still happening as it relates to my dream attracting into the portal of my mind and then manifesting itself into the world of the physical. It's actually pretty shocking to me when I think about all that has happened and that I've been able to accomplish in such a short period of time. Anyway, I'm so thankful that I have a dream and I'm living it, and I hope you're living yours. Anyway, here's what I wrote down for my power statement for this morning. Mentally focus on what empowers you the most each day, Marty. But whatever you focus on, whatever you tune into, make sure it's generating intensity that's producing real power. Focus, focus, focus. So here's my list of to-dos for today. I'll highlight it, a short one, but they're pretty major tasks. Each one, I'll tell you what they are. And I also got this list of tasks done. Bam, got that. And I also got this scribble. I wrote those down. I had to get those done too. So 3 full pages. So it was actually a big list. My most important task for today was to continue designing my Entreport campaign. And I'll explain what that means here in a second. My fun task for today was to design my member login page for Fahad so he can then design it in WordPress and put it on my website. And my exciting task for today was to design the thank you page for my campaign. Okay, by no means am I an expert with the Entreport platform, but a campaign is the overall structured flow chart. This piece to connect to that piece and that part here, and it flows to here, and they go there. The flow chart of the pieces that all work together to achieve a certain result or results from my ads, my website, my follow-up emails, etc. The first piece is my website, of course. The sales membership sign-up page, one of the pages on the site, has 2 options on it. The annual payment option and the monthly payment option. When people come to the website from a variety of places, Google search, YouTube ads, Facebook ads, and an email blast that I might do, all of which will drive folks to the land on my website, or even right on my sign-up page itself, they click on the sign-up button of their choice, either the annual or the monthly, and that takes them to the next step or next flowchart step. The next step in the flowchart is the sign up order form page, which has several pieces attached to it. The information for the account, the Stripe, take your information to do the buy and purchase piece, the thank you or sign up page, the welcome aboard email, and the login credentials email, etc. Some of these pieces are WordPress pages and others are Entreport pages, hosted on WordPress, hosted on Entreport, that have to be integrated into the WordPress system altogether. Or I could have them hosted on Entreport, like I said, but they'd then have to be redirected. As you can hear what I'm saying, it is a bit complicated, that's for sure, but the pieces of the flowchart of the campaign all work together to bring a person through the hoops of signing up and becoming a client of mine in just a few clicks of their mouse. It's so exciting. All that funnel gets in there, and then they go through that process and become a customer. That's the stranger to the acquaintance to the fan to the customer bucket. So fun. With all that said, the bottom line is it has been a drinking from a water hose kind of experience, that's for sure. There is so much to learn, and I have learned how to do not a lot of these steps of settings and this piece and that piece, and so I've had to chat with person after person after person, doing chat after chat after chat, getting that support. I've been holding off I have 2 hours of help with a real live person. It's called onboarding help. It's over a Zoom call and a live body to help me get it done real fast. But until I have a lot of these pieces already set up, I want to hold off on that. So it has been slow slogging for sure, but I'm learning a ton, and I think that's how they intended for it to work. Anyway, let's ask my end of the day success questions. Get honest with yourself, Marty. What didn't go well today? Or what could you have done better today? Did you wake up early and start strong? Check. Did you start your morning with power? Check. Splash. Cold water splash. Make the bed. Win the morning, win the day routine. My mindfulness time. All that. Starting your day with power. Were you productive throughout your day? Did you get the most important things done? Check. Check. Did you move your goals forward? Pieces through the portal of my mind to the world of the physical, piece after piece. Lots of pieces. Did you show up as the person you wanted to today? Yes. What about your personal time with Kevin? Monday night. We share it every night together. Fun night. Were you present for her? Yes. Next are my end of the day success routine accountability questions. Were you honest with yourself about today's task, Marty? In other words, did you keep your promises that you made this morning to yourself? I want to pause right here. I've not said this for 320 days, and I feel like I got to say it, and that is this. I'm not perfect, and a lot of folks, when they get to accountable, they don't keep their word. They fall off the wagon on their losing weight, and I certainly understand that. I'm trying to just focus on what I'm getting done, but I don't have a problem with that. The success routine is not a routine of perfection. There's nothing perfect about me. I stumble and fall. I even talk about my failures, and I have a tool of success plan to help turn those failures into tools of success. I make mistakes. I try not to do it very often, but I do, and you will too, and that's okay. It's all about the right thinking. I love my Monday mornings because I spend my Sundays sharpening my saw so that I can set the table for a great start on Monday for an entire week of success. I am so ready to hit the ground running come Monday mornings, so I promised myself this morning that I would attack these 3 goals that I wrote down on my to-do list and get as far with them as I could, even though I'm learning how to use Ontraport's platform. And it's a slow slog, like I said, but I'm learning. And sure enough, today was a fantastic day of progress on learning the Ontraport platform. I am finally getting a sense of how all these pieces come together and fit, and where things are to make them work, and to do what you want it to do this and do what you want to do that. The bottom line here is I kept all 3 of my promises that I made to myself this morning. So good job, Marty. Bam, done. The next question is, what movies did you watch during your mindfulness time today, Marty? Did you make time for them? And were there any new instant pre-play movies that called up onto your screen in your mind? Well, I think I enjoy my Monday mindfulness time the most out of all the days of the week because I'm refreshed, I'm not feeling taxed, I'm ready to get after it, and I'm ready to do visualization by going to the movies like none else. So I watched my must-see TV favorite 5 movies, and then I visualized a couple instant pre-play movies about the pieces of Ontraport working, so that my campaign was actually working as though it's already built. So fun. I think by the end of the week, I'm going to be able to test it and see everything working together. My next question says, what's the one thing that would make all the difference going forward? What one thing can I do better tomorrow? Even if my day goes sideways getting it done, I still will feel like a success. What's that one thing? Now turn into a power statement. Well, even though the approach I have taken of holding off with using my 2 hours of Ontraport onboarding live Zoom help to onboard myself with their system, by using the free chat support tools and having all those folks help me for free, I've learned a ton about the system, and I'm getting a lot of pieces together so that when I do my 2 hours, man, it's going to be fantastic. So my power statement for tomorrow says, I will continue pushing myself to learn how to use Ontraport's platform as I work on the forums and thank you page and the emails. And when I have all those forums and emails and everything linked up, I will use the 2 hours of support to do the hooking up of my product pages so that the ordering product system works. In other words, there's the first phase of membership system getting in, and now when they become customers, I have all those 12 products plus the full package together to sell. It's that system I'm going to use that 2 hours for, because I don't want to take another month just to do that. I think that it would be too hard to learn each of those steps, and so that's what I'm going to do. The next question of my end of the day success routine is to ask myself, were there any mistakes or failures that you could turn into a tool of success today, Marty, if you had any? Well, today was a day of learning for sure, but it was also a day of real progress. Like I said, I didn't make any mistakes or have any real failures today. It's a few learning, but the chat helped me go through this, and man, it worked. Good stuff are happening. The next question is, what's your biggest success today, Marty? In other words, what did you do well today? Well, my biggest success today was how much I learned about building out the pieces of the order forms that I've got to do, where all of the edit tools are. This to do that font there, to drag this. Oh my goodness, tons and tons and tons. It is going to make the process of building out those 13 product forms so much easier, really easy, or at least I hope it will. I'm pretty sure that they will go much faster than what these first few forms have done, and that excites me. Anyway, my next task, or my next end of the day success routine question, asked me to rate my day's effort. I decided to give today another 10, and that's because I worked at the speed of 10 all day long, and I got a ton done. You saw 3 pages of those check, 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 check done, which by the end of the week I'm going to show you on a Zoom video and show you all that I have gotten done and how it works and where it takes you, and that it's going to be a fun little video. Okay, I want to end the day strong. Here's what I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful for the principle that says, coming up with all the ways to change how you feel so you can go from pain to pleasure and feel great or good immediately is a real skill of thought management. End quote. Making a list of all the ways that actually help you change how you're feeling can be very useful. It's a great tool. For example, I realized that playing my guitar and singing the songs I wrote for Kathleen when I was dating her 44 years ago and falling in love with her, that's a really great way to change how I feel immediately. It brings back such incredibly wonderful feelings. I get the pleasure pretty fast and leave that pain or whatever that little funk I might be in the dust. Writing on topics with really exciting topics excites me, and reading about those topics as well are two additional ways that I realize about myself that do in fact help me change my feelings of pain or discomfort or frustration to feelings of pleasure in an instant. Bam, done. Turning off the TV and stopping all that negative input coming into my mind about politics or all the bad negative events that are happening and all the painful news, and turning on the beautiful music or a fun movie that may be a comedy or a love story or whatever, are additional ways to turn pain into pleasure quickly, at least for me. Having such a long list will help each of us keep from turning to the negative ways that we often use to respond to pain. We got to fill a hole of pain, so we take drugs or we do this or that, and it's behavior that's destructive. These principles lead to the next thing I'm grateful for, the law of mental conditioning, again, which simply says, by conditioning your nervous system, your body, and your mental focus in such a way that it automatically starts to search for these positive, productive ways to turn pain into pleasure immediately in positive thinking, you are mentally conditioning your mind to think about that right off. When they start to have these negative, boom, it goes to that, like you put that seatbelt on automatically, boom, to go to the right thinking. Our beliefs affect our decisions, our actions, the direction of our lives, and therefore ultimately our destiny. But all these influences are a product of thinking, of the way our brains have evaluated and created meaning throughout our entire lives. To get to the very bottom of how we create our reality on a daily basis, we need to first answer this question. What is the right way to think? What are the right questions to ask? I'm so grateful next for George Bernard Shaw, who said, "Some men see things as they are and say, 'Why?' I dream things that never were and say, 'Why not?'" That's a great quote. I'm going to relate a very vivid and even appalling story now. It is a bit long, but I feel it is so powerful, so I went ahead and decided to go ahead and take the time to tell it. So here it goes. They needed no reason. They came simply because he was of Jewish descent. The Nazis stormed into his home, arrested him and his entire family. Soon they were herded like cattle, packed into a train, and then sent to the infamous death camp, Auschwitz. His most disturbing nightmare could never have prepared him for seeing his family shot before his very eyes. How could he live through the horror of seeing his child's clothing on another because his son was now dead as a result of a shower? Somehow, he continued, one day he looked at the nightmare around him and confronted as inescapable truth. If he stayed there even one more day, he would surely die. He made a decision that he must escape, and that escape must happen immediately. He knew not how, he simply knew he must. For weeks he had asked the other prisoners, "How can we escape this horrible place?" The answers he received seemed always to be the same. "Don't be a fool," they said. "There is no escape. Asking such questions will only torture your soul. Just work hard and pray you survive." But he couldn't accept this. He wouldn't accept it. He became obsessed with escape, and even when his answers didn't make any sense, he kept asking over and over and over again, "How can I do it? There must be a way. How can I get out of here healthy, alive, and today?" It is said that if you ask, you shall receive. For some reason, on this day, he got his answer. Perhaps it was the intensity with which he asked his question, or maybe it was his sense of certainty that now's the time. Or possibly it was just the impact of continually focusing on the answer to one burning question. For whatever reason, the giant power of the human mind and the spirit awakened in this man. The power of the plus factor awakened, and the answer came to him through an unlikely source. The sickening smell of decaying human flesh. Before you recall, let me continue. There, only a few feet from his work, he saw a huge pile of bodies that had been shoveled into a back of a truck. Men, women, and children who had been gassed. The gold fillings had been pulled from their teeth. Everything they owned, any jewelry, every bit of their clothing had been taken. Instead of asking, how could the Nazis be so despicable, so destructive? How could God make something so evil? Why has God done this to me? Stanislav Lech asked a different question. He asked, how can I use this to escape? And instantly he got his answer. As the end of the day neared and the work party headed back into the barracks, Lech ducked behind the truck. In a heartbeat, he ripped off his clothes and dove naked into the pile of bodies while no one was looking. Man, he pretended that he was dead, remaining totally still, even though later he was almost crushed as more and more bodies were heaped upon him. Can you imagine? The fetid smell of rotting flesh, the rigid remains of the dead surrounded him everywhere. He waited and waited, hoping that no one would notice the one living body in that pile of death, hoping that sooner or later the truck would drive off. Finally, he heard the sound of the engine starting. He felt the truck shudder, and in that moment he felt a stirring of hope as he lay among the dead. Eventually, he felt the truck lurch to a stop, and then he dumped its ghastly cargo. Dozens of dead, and one man pretending to be one of them, in a giant open grave outside the camp. Lech remained there for hours until nightfall. When he finally felt certain that no one was there, he extracted himself from the mountain of cadavers. Lech ran naked 45 miles to freedom. What was the difference between Stanislav Lech and so many others who perished in the concentration camps? Well, of course, there were many factors. One critical difference was that Lech asked a different question. He asked a different question. He asked persistently, he asked with expectation of receiving an answer, and his brain came up with a solution that saved his life. The question he asked himself that day in Auschwitz caused him to make split-second decisions that led to actions that significantly impacted his destiny. But before Lech could get the answer, make the decisions, and take those actions I just described, he had to ask himself the right questions. The bottom line with this story is that our questions determine our thoughts, and our thoughts determine our feelings, and our feelings determine our actions, and our actions determine our results or destiny. As I have already discussed many times, I have been pursuing one of my goals for this year, which is to improve my mind, and one way I've been doing that is to study the mind and how it works. What is thinking is a great topic. Well, thinking is itself nothing but the process of asking and answering questions. But I'm going to stop there and just say that I will pick up tomorrow night where I left off here tonight about the right questions. Well, there you go. It's now my bedtime, and so once again, I'll be right back here at my laptop tomorrow night sharing my heart. Hopefully, it'll be enjoyable for you, because it's sure enjoyable for me as I continue on my journey to business alignment. But until then, I wish you all continued success. Good night.